Hi, I'm Aaron from Coupers Products. We are the designers and the builders of the Ice Crusher Cab Heaters for UTVs. This video will inform you of why we use billet CNC Y fittings to connect our heater kits to the UTV cooling system. Okay, so what do we want to do? We want to be able to connect our heater to our cooling system. And the majority of UTVs don't have a connection, so we have to make a connection somehow. So the easiest way to do that is to cut the radiator hose, the top radiator hose and the bottom radiator hose, and install Y fittings. And that's what we do with our heater kits. So Ice Crusher Cab Heater kits use a solid aluminum CNC machined Y fitting. Very, very solid, very strong. It has some advantages, and we'll go over those in a minute. Other kits on the market use either T fittings or they use a welded Y fitting. Now these will work, but they have some disadvantages. Let's just go back and look at the Y fitting again. Why we want to use a Y fitting? Well, these, once again, as mentioned, are connected in a radiator hose. So we need the coolant to flow from the engine and then off to the radiator. But we want to divert some of that coolant off to a heater, off to the heater. And our Y fittings do that by screwing in a 5/8 barb fitting. So some of the coolant is diverted to the heater. That's what we want to do. Now the disadvantage of a T fitting is you don't have the best flow. You have, once again, the coolant flowing from the engine off to the radiator. You're asking it to make a 90-degree turn and flow off to the heater. So with T fittings, they aren't the ideal as far as getting nice flow to the heater. So not ideal. We do use these in a couple of our kits. Once again, the majority of them uses the Y fittings, the aluminum billet CNC made Y fittings. The reason why we use these is either for a space issue or we just use it on the return line, which is okay. Now the majority of the kits on the market use a welded Y fitting. Now we used to use these, but there's a couple of disadvantages to that. Number one is we would get pinholes in the weld because they were made in such a vast number. Some of the welds weren't the best, and of course that caused the problem with leaks. But the major disadvantage with a welded Y, I'm going to show you here. If we can look down the leg. Let me see if we can get some light down there. Alright, can you see down there? Half of the opening in the main body is blocked. And the reason that is because when these fittings are made, simply a hole was drilled into this main part and then the 5/8 leg is welded on there. The leg is cut at an angle, which gives you a greater area, but the hole is not enlarged to match the angle. So some of the hole is blocked off. So you actually lose efficiency that way. Now we'll take a look at our fitting, and you can see the nice clean opening, and I think you can see down the hole there, no obstruction. So to recap, you see that T fittings, they do work, but they're not ideal because of the flow characteristics. Welded Ys, they will work, but they have a disadvantage of the inlet hole being partially blocked, therefore restricting flow, and also the possibility of leaks around the welds. So we see that the CNC billet aluminum Ys are far superior. So it just gives you another reason why you should buy an Ice Crusher cab heater for your UTV from Coupers Products. Well, I hope you weren't bored to death with our video on Y connectors. Who knew you could spend 4 minutes on that, right? The reason why we put this video together is so you can make an informed decision when purchasing your UTV heater kit.